everybody. Welcome to the Sales Docket. Tim Garner, Steve Rapp, here to present some very special guests today. My daughter, Nicole Rapp, joining us today. Abbey Emmans joining us today. The dynamic duo running the channel team at eDiscovery AI. An absolute pleasure. We are changing the format today. So as you know, Tim and I have mentioned multiple times on the Sales Docket, this was our opportunity to kind of pay it forward to the next generation coming into the sales field. What we decided to do today is allow Nicole and Abbey to kind of turn the tables and actually interview us. So that being said, a quick introduction, Nicole and Abbey, just a little bit about yourselves, how you got into the space, what you guys are doing today, and then we'll dive into the questions.
Yeah, I'll start off, Abbey. So I started off in actually marketing and advertising, and I was selling ideas, but wasn't quite getting the return. And I think as a salesperson, you want the return when you're selling your ideas. So naturally, I just ended up in sales and then got into this beautiful world of eDiscovery. But I really am love this topic because I think when I entered, there wasn't a lot of this content out there. So I love this topic, and I'm really happy to be here.
Excellent. Thanks, Abbey.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I was in cybersecurity sales for about 6 years, and I wanted to pivot away from there. Being in the same industry as my father was never really something I was interested in, but he's like, talk to Tom Palladino. He has great technology. He's a great guy. I said, okay, fine. Talk to Tom. Talk to Abbey.
Talk to me, mostly.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then the rest is history. It was great tech, great people. Couldn't be happier where I am.
I love it.
Good deal. Yeah. Well, nice to meet you both. I'm excited. And I have to tell you, it's amazing to look at you guys, especially Nicole, because I've known Nicole since she was a baby, and see where you guys are at now. And this is exciting. Thank you guys for thinking about asking the old guys some questions. We're looking forward to it.
Oh, we're ready.
Oh, we're ready. We brought cards.
We're in our
Fair
Andy
enough.
Cohen.
Yeah,
Fair
if any Bravo fans out there, we're in our Andy Cohen host moment. So we'll be
Gotcha.
nice to you guys.
Oh,
Gotcha.
Lord.
Fair enough.
By the way, this only lasts 15 minutes, so make it quick. All right, kick it off.
All right, we're going to start with some high level sales questions, and we're going to get into more industry specific sales questions. So just off the bat, why did you both get into sales? What's your favorite part? What's your least favorite part about it?
You want me to take that first, Rapp?
Take it first, and I'll jump into it.
So why did I get into sales? At the time, I was looking for a job. And it was very interesting because I ran into a buddy of mine who was selling copiers. I was literally going to the bank to cash my last check because I had just got let go from a company. And the interesting thing, when I interviewed at the place for selling copiers, I had worked at a copier place and ran a copier. So it kind of coincided. Things went well. He was driving a brand new car. He was just out of college. And I'm like, I want that. So, we talked a little bit more, and what I found out very quickly is that in sales, you can kind of create your own income. And that was the thing that really kind of attracted me to it. And, never looked back from there. Just never looked back.
Yeah. And for me, it was just, I started young, and I say young because I was waiting tables in college to support myself, and generally had if you looked at most of the waiters, and I had large sales. Like I was overselling, someone ordered a pound lobster, I convinced them to buy a 3-pound lobster. And that was all because honestly, at the end of the day, the more you sold, the more money you made. And I think money was my big motivator, in general. So I sold thermal replacement windows in college, right? Like crazy. And it was fun. I mean, the second part of your question is, the challenge of sales is something I've always liked. I've always been competitive. Tim and I I mean, if you saw us back in the day, it was just it was crazy. Like I would bring in a big project, he'd look at me, go, "Give me a second." He'd come back with a bigger project. I'd call one of my clients. I'm like, "I need to beat Tim." I mean, it was a competitive, fun kind of attribute to the process. But seriously, at the end of the day, it was about, and I hate to say this, but it was about sales. I took a consumer economics class in college. I'll never forget this. I think this is one of the things that always hit home for me. And he was talking about professions to get into and levels of professions. And so you had the doctors and the lawyers who had very high level of academic reference, but then he talked about sales, and he went into how he knew people who were selling like molding for bridges and bringing in millions of dollars as a salesperson, right? So I instinctively always had kind of that ability to get along with people. I was an outgoing person. I got it from the industry, from waiting tables. But as I got into it, it equated into revenue opportunity, right? And one of the stories I've said on the sales docket is one of the, back in our days, we had these bankruptcy mailouts. And one of my guys went on vacation, and I literally got 13 pages that needed to be copied 10,000 times. And the guy made $3,000 in commission from one little project. And I'm like, this is the craziest industry I've ever seen in my life, right? So I think that was one of the precursors of why sales and why we got into it.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I agree.
Money.
I think that resonates with us as well. Me and Nicole aren't competitive at all.
No, we're uplifting for each other.
We're uplifting
But
to each, yeah.
but I
What
do
else?
like that we do get to control how much money we make.
Absolutely.
The
So-
energy you put into it is the energy you'll get back.
No
Love
doubt.
it.
All right,
All
I think am I starting it off with, okay, what's one piece of sales advice you completely disagree with?
Wow. Always be closing. I don't think that's the answer. I think it's a nice say. I think it's a movie saying, but I think the biggest thing about sales for me, and I can't speak for everybody, is that I'm always curious. So when I start a relationship, I'm curious about helping the client. I'm curious about what their problems are. I'm curious about the relationship that I can build with them. It's not the fact that I walk into a situation going, I want to get their business. It's more along the lines of, can I help them? Can I create a relationship? And can I be a true partner and, getting them through this journey, whether it's, eDiscovery, infrastructure, whether it was copiers back then or, copy paper back then. And I think having that sincere concern about the relationship and helping someone takes care of everything else. So that whole thing about always be closing, I get it. Sounds great. It's cool, but I don't necessarily like that saying so much.
So it's so interesting that you say that, because I think always be closing reminds you of a used sales. Like the guy in the car lot, oh, God forbid you go off the lot, he's got to close you right then.
Yeah.
I think always be advancing is an approach that I would tell you, is that things take time, right? I mean, Tim nailed it, right? The curiosity and understanding the pain points and understanding what's most important to your end client is the key attribute for any sales call, like the discovery call. Like, what is your situation? What are your problems? What's the implications? All of that is really important, but you don't close someone right off the bat. Your goal is to advance the process. And I think that's one of the key aspects that I really think and that people don't do enough of. And I will tell you the other thing that I find fascinating is I don't think enough people actually ask for the business. I really don't. I think at the end of the sales call, there's this, especially for younger salespeople, it's like this nervousness to kind of end the call without validating it and then asking someone, like, based on everything I've told you, do I have a right to ask for your business? And I don't think enough people do that. So I think that's another really key aspect of the sales piece.
It's good advice.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that nugget. Yeah.
Good nugget.
It's a good
Good
nugget.
sales
It's a good nugget. I don't know why I said nugget, but it felt right.
No, I like it.
Well, we're trying to give sales nuggets, so that's
Hey,
it's a good call.
Yeah.
Good call.
All right. If you had to restart your career tomorrow with no contacts, what would you do first?
So it's kind of what you're doing right now. I think it's important that, and so one of the things I've always said that I give myself credit for is, that Kevin Bacon thing, 6 degrees of separation, right? I might not know the person that I'm trying to get in touch with, but I am going to leverage the relationships that I have that maybe someone else knows this person or could connect this person, or there's a common ground that could get me in front of that person. And I think part of that situation is what you're doing right now, having mentors, networking, because there may be a situation, and I know we've watched it before with Steve, where we had a friend of ours who's in the industry, whose son was getting in the industry, who contacted us and was like, hey, my son's trying to do this, blah, blah, blah. And then the next minute, Steve knew someone at this place that he was trying to go to. He just recently got hired, right? So along those lines, if I would restart my career, I would just make sure I would continue to leverage more of my network, my relationships, my friends, to make sure that, because that will make it a lot easier for people, right? You have the perfect opportunity, Nicole and Abbey, with your dad and Steve in this industry. If there's somebody that you're trying to meet, 9 times out of 10, your dad probably knows him. If not, he knows someone that knows him that can get you in front of him. So I would leverage that, if I had to restart, it was just make sure I continue to go down my network of friends and people that, and be intentional about, hey, do you know this person, or can you connect me to this person? So that would be my advice.
And I'll take a stab on that one also, because we didn't have LinkedIn.
Right.
We didn't have podcasts. We didn't have a vehicle where it's operational curiosity. So you guys are growing up in the AI arena, right? And I've always said this. I think one of the things that young people need to do is become technically proficient at what they're selling. Like understand, and I mean that from understand your product in and out, understand what AI is, understand the risks, understand how to, the defensibility behind it. And I do think, like, for me, LinkedIn is an opportunity where if I started from scratch, I would become an expert on what I need to learn. I would start posting on it. And I think one of the things that I've always mentioned in this podcast is people like to help people. Like, mentorship is a real thing, right? I mean, we're trying to do it right here. So reaching out to someone in a non-confrontational sales way and saying, hey, I'm doing this LinkedIn post. I'd love to get your feedback. I think there's really interesting ways and unique ways that you can go out and network and get people into that network. And Tim and I were speaking with his boss, Dante Hubbard, who was my CSR back in the day. I mean, this guy his networking capability is off the chart. So I'm going to go back to Tim also, is that besides the 6 degrees, there are a lot of places, and you guys are doing it, right? You guys go to a lot of shows, you're networking. That's where I would start. But I do think becoming an expert, like really understanding the nuance of what you're selling and then writing about it, where you can gain visibility and a voice and that brand marketing of who you are, and then reaching out to people and say, hey, I don't know if you've seen my post on LinkedIn, but I'd love to get your feedback. Like,
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you both touch on great points. And I think we have some other questions that are going to dig a little bit deeper into that.
yes.
But on that whole conference thing, and I know when we're at conferences and you're building rapport with people, when do you think's the best time to know when to pitch and when to just kind of build that relationship?
I've answered first a couple times, so I'll let Rapp go.
So another great question. So I think there's at conferences, I try not to sell hard, right? There's a curiosity and there's a nuance to the questions I ask people at a conference of what are they seeing in the marketplace? What are the challenges? How are they taking the specific technology and getting it adopted? I'm asking fundamental questions that aren't really talking about me, but are talking about the challenges that they're seeing. And then what's cool is, and this is what I've done my entire sales career, is when I hear a really good answer or a really good challenge, I go to the next person and I say, hey, are you seeing this challenge?
I like that.
Right? And,
Yeah.
and to me, to me, every sales call is an opportunity to understand someone's position. And then the next sales call should be taking that pain point that you just learned about and asking the same question, because you've already heard one person answer it. So now you have the backbone to kind of expand the conversation. Again.
Yeah, so I'll probably look at it a little different. When I go to conferences, I'm really not trying to sell anything or pitch anything at all. What I'm trying to do is build relationships and credibility, right? So because a lot of times these conferences, you're going to go to RelFest, you're going to go to, Legal Tech, you're going to go to all these things and start to build relationships with people over time, right? And there's certain times when you're in a space where people are always talking about what it is that they do. And I'll generally just try to find some common ground, whether it's, someone likes to golf or, someone likes this restaurant or likes to travel or whatever, and then just kind of build a relationship. And the key for me is I usually won't pitch anything until someone asks me what I do, right? When they ask me, hey, so why are you here? What do you do? Oh, okay. Now, so that's opened the door for me to say, hey, here's what I do, here's who I work for, blah, blah, blah. But along those lines, generally what I've done over the years is just start to create these relationships that become friendships with people. And then business just happens. Now, granted, you can't do that and wait 5 years to, get work. But, over the time, as long as you have that common bond or common ground, you can stay in touch with that person and develop the relationship where it's not about what can I sell to you. It's more about, do I really like this person? Do I want to be around this person? Do I want to help this person? And then everything else kind of comes into play. I have clients right now that, and then this has been in my career that I hang out with, that, we go on trips together. I got a client that I do a ton of business right now. We're getting ready to go do business. He's taking me to see his clients. We're bringing our sons with us. And, once you develop those relationships, business happens. Now, I know that doesn't happen in a conference, but it can ultimately wind up being the relationship at the end of a conference. And that's what I would kind of focus on.
And I would always look for the client who's hammered at 3 o'clock in the morning eating a piece of pizza, because I've closed many a deal.
Go to faces and names.
Hey, listen to me, and I'm not kidding, but conferences are they're outside of the scope of a real sales call.
Right.
And so if someone's had a couple of drinks and you guys are joking around, you can sit there and be like, seriously, are we like, ask for the business then also. I'm serious. I've closed quite a few deals.
Oh, yeah. No,
At 3 in the morning.
At Legal Week, you introduced me and Nicole to so many people at Faces Names, and I now have them as clients. So
that's
Thanks.
great.
Yeah, it's easy to become best. It's easy to become best buds when someone's drunk.
No doubt. That's funny.
I'm gonna skip the next question because I think we have better questions lined up, and I don't want to.
Do you want me to go?
Time. No, I'll.
Okay.
So now we'll get into kind of more industry specific sales questions. So what skills have been most valuable throughout your career in legal tech?
Mine are simple. Relationship building and work ethic. When I started at Icon with your dad, I remember my interview. They were hiring the top 5% in their industry, right? So, and that was not me. They were hiring all these guys, and I literally remember telling Paul Baker, no one will outwork me, and no one will get more people to like them than me. So I think it's key that, if you focus on the relationship building sincerely, right, business will come. If you outwork everyone and do the hard work, success will come. There is no shortcut to having a genuine relationship with someone and outworking them. There's no shortcut.
Yeah.
And I couldn't. I mean, that I think that's fundamentally what has made us successful. When you look at our careers, I think, for me, again, I'm going to go into, we started out in paper, right? You didn't really need a skill set into picking up a box of paper and making a copy. I mean, honestly, today we're going into AI, and it's transformative. And that part is, being able to articulate the technical side into what does that mean from them, from a risk side, from a defensibility side. It is the skill set required has changed. And I will tell you, and I'm going to harp on this again because it was one of the pivotal moments in my sales careers when I saw a sales guy actually giving a demo and understanding a product from a true. And Nicole, I've bothered you about this. Is can you give a demo of the product? When I was at Reveal, I spent more time with the sales engineers than with the salespeople, right? Because understanding the tech and what goes behind it was a critical piece for me. So when I'm on a sales call, I prefer to have a sales engineer if it goes into that, but I can handle myself on most levels. So I think that again comes back to the skill sets that are needed today are a little bit different than when we started. Fundamental, Tim is 100% right?
Yeah.
Working hard, networking, all of that, caring about your clients. But I do think the technical aspect of not just being young and blurting out what you do, but listening, right? Those are the basics. But I think now as you get into what you guys are selling and how it's changing the industry is you've got to have the chops, the technical chops to understand that and be able to articulate that.
Yeah, no, totally agree. And that kind of brings us into our next question really well. If you could only recommend 3 resources for learning the legal ecosystem, what would they be?
There's
Like, how should we be keeping
Like,
up with the times?
Is
And how should
is there
we?
any I guess is there any resources or because I know you mentioned LinkedIn is a good place to network. But is there anywhere people coming into the industry can learn kind of the legal
More learning, yeah.
yeah.
I know me and Nicole are starting our ACEDS journey. Shout out to ACEDS, but if there's like anything like that as well.
So I think I'll take this one first. I think spot on. You just mentioned like getting the ACEDS and going through that test and getting that certification gives you credibility. Like at least everything that you need to know because you guys came in completely, you selling software, right? You never had to do the services side of the business. So it's a completely different story. So I think that's one of them. I think Daniel Gold and Eric Dirk from BDO have a fantastic podcast. Laura Milstein and Kevin I mean, they're the Technopod. There are a lot of really good resources today. Again, that Tim and I never really had, but that open up and get people and very influential people and smart people talking about the challenges they're facing in the space. And again, to me, as a salesperson, it's what I drive off of hearing the challenges because the beautiful thing about someone telling you their challenges, if my software can help that challenge, that makes me a better salesperson. So I do think you're spot on the ACEDS. I think this podcast, I think I'm on LinkedIn. I'm reading articles, the Sedona conference, right? The EDRM. Like there's a lot of stuff out there that you can learn from that I would be tapping into and reading about. And there's some really, again, we're in an industry of very smart and articulate people. And there's some really great articles to read. And again, to me, it's the mantra of constantly be learning, right? And this space is changing so much, right? Find some really smart people that you like that are talking about the things that you care about, that your software can solve, and dig into those.
Right.
Tim, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to be able to add much more to that other than in your generation. I mean, information is so accessible via the internet, right? Don't lose focus on face to face, right? That is my bread and butter. I spend more time in front of my clients probably than most people because I genuinely like them, right, and want to help them. And I used to tell this story when we used to do our sales calls, and Rapp used to remember. I was like, I lucked out and got my mom's personality. I genuinely love people, right? So at any time I have an opportunity to be face to face with someone and talk about whatever it is that I'm doing, learn from them, then learn from me, that's probably my first resource, right? Obviously, you got the internet. And then kind of like what we talked about a little bit earlier, what you guys are doing right now, there's opportunity for podcasts. There's opportunity to reach out to other people. There's those opportunities that we really didn't have. We were kind of in the office. We had to figure it out amongst ourselves. You guys have all these great resources, but I don't get away from being in front of a person or a client because you're always learning from that. Whether you're learning something that that's bad, or you're learning something that's good, you're learning as long as you're listening to it. So,
Right.
And I mean, Tim, you're so spot on. And I think COVID changed a lot of that. I mean, you guys literally grew up in an era where Zoom is the go-to.
Right.
Yeah.
And by the way, getting in a room with people is just so different, from
Yes.
reading body language to the connection. So
Yeah.
Timmy's right. I mean, I was in a room full of potential prospects yesterday, and I can count on my hand since I'm not talking about any of the conferences. I'm talking about sales calls where you're literally in presenting to a group of people, seeing their visceral reactions, understanding the body language, what's going well. It's just different. I mean, Zoom is great, right? But
And sometimes cameras aren't even on and mics
Correct.
are off, and
Yes.
you're kind of like,
Correct.
I
Correct.
will show this product into the abyss, but I hope they're listening.
yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
So you kind of answered this next question in a way, but I do still want to double tap into it, because this was like probably one of the first questions I asked you when I joined the industry. How can newer sales folk with no legal background establish credibility with experienced attorneys and legal professionals?
Love this question.
I can kind of answer this pretty quickly. And I'm sure you guys have heard this before. Under promise and over deliver. When you have the opportunity to shine, make sure you shine. And your word should be your bond, because there's times where it's tough to deliver, and you can either walk right into that and have your client appreciate that, or you can kind of go, well, what wasn't my fault? So I live by, under promise, over deliver, keep your word, and over communicate, right? If you want to create a strong relationship with someone, and when I say over communicate, I don't mean badger them, right? But I mean, when you talk to them, especially now that we're in the world of email and all this stuff, detail. Like when a client says, hey, when is this going to get back? Not, I'll get it back to you ASAP. No, it's I'll have an answer for you by 5 o'clock. You'll hear from me by 4 o'clock. If that's not going to be the case, something that simple allows them to kind of calm down about what they have going on their end. And what that does is create credibility from a standpoint that I can depend on this person, right? I had to do it this past weekend, over the July 4th weekend. We had a situation where I kind of reached out to the client and just said, hey, here's what's going to happen. We have this type of coverage. These people are going to be on call. I'm available 24/7. Whatever it is that you need, let me know. Best way to get in touch with me, call my cell, because I might not react to an email as fast. Just that little bit made all the difference, where the client sent me an email Monday. Hey, thanks for, being there for me. Thanks for the follow-up. And even they were going through a deadline. So he's like, I'm actually sorry for the delay in getting back to you. I appreciate it. Those are the things that I think when you do those type of things, you create this level of trust that can become unbreakable for 25 years. I work with clients now that I've been working with for 20 years, because they know if they call me, no matter what's going on, I got you. So that would be my advice.
I mean, 1,000%, right? Trust is built at an increment at a time, right? So if you say you're going to follow up in 2 weeks, you follow up in 2 weeks. If you tell them you're going to get a response at 9, you get it at 8:55, right? If you say you're going to show up at 9, show up those are basic, like really minute ways to build trust. I also think you're new, right? You can't walk in thinking you know everything. So it goes back to Tim said it, and I think it's more of like, to me, it's like operational curiosity. Like, how do you handle this? How do you handle that? Like, again, asking questions on a curious basis, and then being able to actually articulate what you guys do to help them. But again, I go back to trust, right? People work with people they trust, right?
Yeah.
Don't tell someone you're going to do something and not do it. Ever.
Right.
Don't
Right.
tell someone your software can do something that doesn't. You will lose a client quickly. And it's deposit after deposit after deposit. We've been doing this for a long time. People know when I sell software, they've been through 3 series of softwares that I've sold, all doing what it said it was supposed to do. There's credibility in that, right? I mean, I had a global advisory at one of my old companies buy my software without even looking at it, going, Rapp, I just trust you, so
Love
I'm
that.
buying this, which doesn't happen all the time,
Okay.
but it takes years, right? So I think that's part. I think that the trust is gained by being true to your word, saying, and I'm just letting you know, it's also just following up. Like people
Yeah.
want someone reliable, right? I mean, I had a client the other day tell me that you have a sales rep who did a pitch and never follows up with them, like doesn't advance it
Doesn't go
forward.
anywhere. Yeah.
So, but I think again, curiosity, on all levels. And Tim mentioned this also on a personal level, on a professional level, on that, networking, getting to know people. And you're both extremely, extremely good at this because you're both personable. You get deep into it. You create relationships. I mean, your superpowers, both of you, are how quickly people love you. Like that is an unbelievable trait to have, and then just build on that, right? Because it's automatic. You're both sincere, right? You're both happy, fun, good people. Build on the trust side now, right?
Yeah, and some people have that naturally, like us. Your dad had to work on that.
Like, wait, if Tim can do that, I can do that.
No, that's actually really good advice. Because it
Yeah,
is a
no.
little scary, you walk into an industry and all these people went to law school and are just like
Right.
so high intelligence. And not saying that we're not, but we don't have that background that, but obviously we've been making do.
We can make me do.
Very, very well.
I think we love that building relation. I didn't
Yeah.
realize going into, like, I think when I told my parents I'm going to sales, they automatically think that like car salesman, you're not building relationships, you're just trying to get that sale. But honestly, like we're literally just building relationships and we get some compensation for that.
Yep, absolutely.
So pivoting a little bit, how has selling AI changed compared to selling traditional software or services, other than the price points?
Yeah, other than it being cheap.
Yeah.
I'll start with that one, Timmy. I think if you take a look at what Tim and I started selling, which was very transactionally based, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we started selling, I've got some boxes, I need a copy of a box. Wasn't really, you didn't have to really know so much about defensibility and adaptability and how to, it's a different process. I think AI today, there's inherent skepticism. There's a lot of risk with AI. People are worried about hallucinations, and so I think there's a nuanced approach on how you make people comfortable with selling AI that we didn't really have to worry about back in our day, right? It was a lot more transactional of, hey, I've got, even with imaging or scanning or whatever that was, you were using technology to solve a problem, but it was something people understood really easily, right? Here's a piece of paper, here's another piece of paper, they match, no problem, right? So I think that's a really big change, and it goes back into, if I tell a younger person to understand how to sell AI, it is, what does that mean? What are the risks associated? Put yourself in the attorney's view, right? And understand that they are becoming not so much fact finders anymore because the technology is doing that, but they're becoming context QCers. Like they have to understand what's being delivered to them and is that defensible and how does that work? And I think that's changed a lot from our days. So again, coming down to really understanding the attributes of the technology and what it's doing to attorneys, and personally what fear a lot of attorneys are facing when it comes to AI, and being able to alleviate that fear. I think that's a big change.
So obviously I'm going to not disagree, but take a different thought process. I don't think it's changed that much as far as, the bottom line is that we're still selling efficiency and quality, right? No matter what it is. Whether it was paper, it was, we can do it faster, we can do it better. And now with AI and technology, you now have an ability to reduce data sets and the same thing, but you're still selling, I can do it faster, I can do it better, I can do it more efficient. So, that's just kind of my thoughts. And sales to me has always been the same thing. It's always been about the relationship, uh, caring for the client, doing the best job that you can, doing it as quick as possible, and giving them a quality product. So whether you're selling boats, houses, eDiscovery, AI, whatever it is, it's kind of the same premise. You know, I mean, obviously technology has something to do with the differences and the concerns and the things that lawyers have to deal with. But in the grand scheme of things, keep selling quality, keep
Yep.
selling efficiency, keep building relationships, keep your word. Those things never change to me.
Love that.
Awesome.
I think we got time for a couple more.
Yeah.
Couple more. All right, I'm gonna skip this next one then.
You don't have to. I mean, go. Is it important?
I have one really good one, I think.
Yeah, do yours.
Let's go.
And I got one
All
question
right.
for you guys too. So
Of course. Okay, what trends do you think will define the next 5 years of eDiscovery? It's a big one. 'Cause it's changing so quickly.
Who knows what 5 years
well, I
will be.
mean, what trends? Obviously, AI, Gen AI,
Yeah.
and the large language models and these data centers and all these things that they're doing. I think that's gonna, the next 5 years, that'll potentially flip the market upside down. I think, you're losing to an extent sometimes opportunities for first pass review. The labor piece of that with AI, and so I think that's going to be really interesting 5 years from now.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it earlier. I think there's a couple of things. So linear review is clearly going to go away, right? I mean, we're beginning to see that. And linear review was allowed an attorney to be the fact finder, right? I mean, they had to go through and read and understand the facts, and I think that's changing. I mean, you guys, early case insights and being able to add context right off the bat to your data
Right.
is changing now, where people are just verifying what the context is and making sure it's correct, right? And I think that's really a big change. The labor pool is shifting, right? I mean, contract reviewers are going to be still needed, but
Right.
they're going to be more of the QC, and they're going to have different skill sets that are needed, and they're going to be able to charge more. So there's a lot of shifts in how I think people are going to be used in the space today. I think there's a lot of questions on, like, if I was graduating college and I was going to law school right now, like, what am I going to be doing as a first year associate? Like, I think there's a lot of really interesting things that have not panned out yet on that end. And again, eDiscovery has so many pieces to it, right? It just does. It's not just about email, right? It's all the different modern data sources today that people are dealing with, from Slack to ChatGPT now to Gemini to all these different data sources. And I think, that is still very fragmented. There's not a bird's eye view. And I mean, people, I could be slacking Tim right now and sending him an email and then running Gemini. And there's
Right.
all these different, to me, still very fragmented pieces of how people communicate.
Yeah.
And I think there's still an opportunity. And I think MCP and orchestration and all the things that we're beginning to see on that level is going to tie all these different attributes of data together to make it much easier for an investigation and all that. So I still think there's a lot of really interesting things coming right now. And it's changing all the time, right? We're seeing that with Harvey and Lagora and
Yeah.
Silo and all the other ones that are out there right now, just pitching disruption, but disruption without sometimes validation, but it's getting headlines. So
Yeah.
I think I'm just gonna skip to the last question. If that's good with everyone.
yes.
If you could solve one problem in eDiscovery overnight, what would it be?
Well, so from an I think there's still way too much data. I just do. I just look at and got. I'm gonna probably shoot myself in the foot right now, but there are attorneys that, I mean, law firms' entire industry is just data, and I think what Gen AI is bringing to the marketplace is an ability to actually reduce data at the source. And I think that's positive for everybody. Like the amount of litigation costs and money spent today to fight each other is extraordinary. It's time consuming. And if you've got a big team and the money to fight it, you do, but for the little people, it's harder. So to me, I think where the industry is going on being able to start reducing data, which is not great for everybody. I mean, everybody makes a living off data. I mean,
Right.
that's the problem, right? The more you host, the more you make. That's the
Yeah.
world that you live in. But I do think there's a shift that is really going to the enterprise on their ability now to, and I think you'll see that from enterprise sources, right? Microsoft and
Right.
all of them are going to make it ways to reduce data. And we say that, but then, ChatGPT and Copilot increases the data. So I don't know if it's ever going to go away, right?
Right.
But I do think if I had to solve something, it just be that ability to reduce the amount of data going out.
Yeah, and as much as I hate to say it, I agree with him. But with that said, let me just ask you guys one question that, I even talked to my kids about it. So, one of the things that I think is very important, as if I could done anything different when I started, it would be to have some sort of a side hustle, right? Do either of you have another side hustle and outside of eDiscovery AI? And I'm not saying, and I'm not saying from a competing aspect.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, do you have something else that you do that ultimately could be yours? You could own it, and you could be the next whatever. Or are you guys just got everything in the bank at eDiscovery AI?
Wish we could say that. I'm just kidding.
I mean, we did say we will probably start our own podcast, so that might be
Love
our
it.
I think,
our next side hustle. But
Love it.
I don't have any extra streams of revenue, if that's what the question is. I have
Yes.
hobbies, but nothing that's making me money except for selling eDiscovery
She's a
AI.
great flag football QB.
Okay, love that. I was a QB back in my day. We won't go
Oh,
into
yeah?
that. Yeah. But my point to you is that I would think about that seriously
Yeah.
because I did not get into that probably till started my other company in 2015, right? So I would have did that.
Earlier.
I would have loved to do that 20 years earlier.
And is
Hmm.
the other company in the realm of eDiscovery or completely?
Completely different. I resell IT software. Me and my
Okay.
wife.
Can
So
I ask how that kind of like how did 2015? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I left the market in New York, I moved to Florida to partner with someone in the scanning e-discovery business. We did that for a while. I took over a small office, became a partner. After that didn't work out because it's just a different market, Florida. Orlando, Florida is different from New York City. I decided that, hey, there's still an opportunity for me to run my own business. At that time, I stayed in the industry, which was kind of in Orlando, scanning and copying and stuff like that, but wasn't killing it. And ran into a guy playing golf that was a C-level executive in information technology. He asked me to become one of his reps for a company that was a value-added reseller, an IT VAR. I did that for several years, loved it, but then found out that the industry it's interesting to say the least. As far as reselling software, the markup and the money they're all arbitrary numbers that you can kind of make up, right? So during that time, I had an opportunity to work for a larger company, and when I worked with them, to me, they were even worse, right? And the problem for me was that the relationship that I had when I was getting the business was from a friend. So all of the underhanded stuff, I couldn't sleep at night. So I let that company know I was not going to do that. And when I left, another client that I had basically said, "Hey, the only reason I know this company is because of you. And don't you have a business?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "Well, get me a quote on this." And I was like, "I don't even know if I can." I partnered with this software company, got him a quote, and within 3 weeks made a 6-figure deal, right? And it was one of those things where I literally just was honest. This is what it cost me. This is what, I would charge you. And I saved him $500,000 from the other bar that was overcharging. So along those lines, and I just kind of fell into it. And that's what I've been doing now for the last 7 years. Company's been around since 2015. Started in 2017, really selling that and trying to ramp that up. And that's how I wound up at Rapparia.
Interesting.
I called Dante, said, "Hey, I can resell you some licenses." He's like, "Oh, that's cool." Introduced me. And then before you knew it, he's like, "So what are you doing?" And I'm like, "Well, he's like, "You still got relationships?" I'm like, "I always have relationships." So now I've been at Rappario going on 30 months and doing well there. So yeah, my whole advice to you guys is to find that side hustle, whatever it is, and have it in your back pocket, incorporate yourselves, get an LLC. Whether you make money in 5 years, it doesn't matter. The key is that, and I'll end on this. When that guy asked me to get him a quote, I had to have been in business for 2 years in order to do business with him. So luckily, I started in 2015. And when it was time for us to do business, it was like mid 2017. And I really hadn't done much business, right? He was pretty much like, "It don't matter. You've been at least 2 years, I can work with you." So my advice, start now, form a company now. So 5 years from now, when you have that opportunity, you don't have to start on that day. That's my advice.
That's beautiful. But that's one of the best ways we wrapped up the sales docket ever.
Exactly. Me and Nicole are going to get off this call and start coming up.
Yeah.
Start coming up with our LLC.
Dynamic duo, LLC, whatever you guys call yourselves. It's
Exactly.
amazing.
Exactly.
Well, this has been fantastic. Really, really appreciate. Great, by the way, great questions that you sent us. That you didn't send us. You asked us, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Right on the spot. You guys did great.
But this has been fantastic. I'll be posting all this stuff a little bit later, but really appreciate your time today. Keep kicking ass.
It's really good
Keep kicking
advice.
ass, but not too much ass. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. We'll come back anytime. We'll come back.
Right.
This can be a bit for you guys.
All right.
Yeah, good seeing you, Nicole, and great meeting you, Abby.
Great meeting you, Tim.
Appreciate you.
Great
Absolutely.
to see you.
Take
Bye.
care.